Hey everybody, welcome to Just Us Bros podcast. As always, I'm Hokey Joker, and we have another Cast Your Calls today. But first, let's get to our most recent weekend. And joining me is no stranger. It's a Batdrew. How's it going today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Hokey Joe?
Oh, I'm doing great. Just still trying to recover from a great weekend. We just got back from GalaxyCon a couple days ago up in Richmond, a 3 day fun event. Costumes aplenty. What stuck out to you?
Definitely the cosplay this year. It seemed like they stepped their game up a lot. Was definitely excited to see Charlie Cox because I feel like that was a super big name for especially a place like Richmond. But I was like, hey, cool, I'm gonna meet him. But that definitely took my interest. The the after parties, the emo sad party, get sad, y'all. That was great. All around great convention this year. Looking
Yeah,
forward to going back next year.
yeah, and I think that the guests were different this year than last year. It was a fun time to just go out and meet new people. I mean, he still had William Shatner was there both years, but this year they had Stephen Amell, who we got our photo taken with for like the 12th time now or something like that. But
But who's counting?
yeah, but it's a great couple days after the convention. We're looking back and enjoying, that's now memories. But last year, guys, it was a little bit of a different scenario. We had left. I came back to the beach. Batdrew and Green Lantern went back along their way, and something didn't feel right, did it, Batdrew?
Actually, kind of the beginning of the weekend seemed like a normal weekend, GalaxyCon. It's gonna be busy, it's gonna be packed. It's gonna be a lot of people in there, a lot of energies, feelings, and sometimes at the end of a day, just on Friday, you feel like I'm not gonna say con fatigue, but you feel kind of overwhelmed. You're like, oh, for me, it was like, I kind of got a little headache. It's nothing. I usually get these when we go there because it's a bunch of people or crammed in there like sardines. And now, you know, didn't think much of it. Saturday was busier.
Yeah.
Um, Same type of thing happened though. Like after we went to the con, um, I think I noticed that something was off, especially after the con because we all went to out to eat at that one place. That I was noticing like I had a headache again. I was like, this is weird, but I I didn't think much of it because I was like, con atmosphere, the cramming everyone in, moving in costume out of costume. So I was
Walking
like,
miles and miles and miles. Yeah.
oh yeah.
And
Um,
probably drinking. We probably were thinking it's a hangover. We're drinking more beer than water.
well, yeah, yeah, yes, we were. Yeah, we were honestly, yes, we were. But like I said, didn't think much of it. Sunday did our rounds, checked out of a hotel, finished up, got to do what else we needed to do at the con on Sunday that we didn't get to do the weekend. And like you said, parted our went our separate ways. And when I got back home, I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, hey, like I don't feel right. Like I didn't feel bad. And it was like I was like, there's like some kind of slight headache going on, but it's more so an annoyance rather than it's like actually bothering me. But like I said, I didn't think much of it because going to cons usually get sometimes a headache. Um, and yeah, actually, when I woke up that morning, I was like literally the world was spinning. Felt like I could not um even get out of bed and was trying to get the kids on the bus. I was like, y'all, I really need y'all to step your game up today, do it yourself because I really don't think I can do it. Like it took me the entire time it took them to get ready and get on the buses. They got on the buses on time. But that entire time, that entire process took like 40 minutes for me to get from the bed just to the couch. And I was like, holy crap, something's wrong because like I said, this is not just normal headache. Um, I was kind of when I was sitting on the couch, I can remember like leaning back, just wanting to close my eyes and be like, oh, can the room like literally stop spinning? Because the room to me is like literally it's spinning. And I noticed that I was vomiting a little bit, but not even a painful one, just it was coming out. And when my girlfriend came home, she was like, I gotta take the dogs to the groomers. Are you gonna be okay? I was like, I think I'm okay. And then when she came back, I had not moved like an inch literally from the couch. And then she's like, we need to take you to the ER. And actually from that point, I remember that
Were you supposed to work
I
at all,
remember
or
I
did
wanted to,
you have to go to
huh?
work? Or
No, because we had that weekend off, so I had that day off for the con. So I took the Monday off, as a recovery day as usual. But because she was at the time she was working night shift, she had just got off work and went to the dog, took the dogs to the groomers, and then um came back, saw that I was still like I was, and was like, "We need to go to the ER." And I remember distinctly, I was like, "I need to try to go to the bathroom first because I feel like I might wet myself if I don't go before." And the last thing I remember is that I was crawling from the living room to the bathroom, and I never even made it there. And she's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna go." Like I was literally on all fours. The room is spinning. I'm trying to stand up. I was like, I can't do this. And long story short, in the ER, was admitted. Um, by 9 o'clock that night, they just gave me fluids, and they were like, you may be just dehydrated, so we're good to go back home. And little did I know I was not.
so what you they give you these fluids, they send you back home, and are you feeling any better at this point, or is the world still spinning as it slowed?
Well, that night when I got back home, I mean, I didn't get out of bed for the next 2 days, pretty much. So I kind of stayed in bed. Noticed that I was still struggling a little bit going to the bathroom, like getting up, like actually the process of walking, and then like just going to the bathroom. Like, oh man, it's kind of hard to just even stand up. And I was like, let me put my hand up to brace myself just a little bit. And I was like, wow, that actually feels weak too. This is really weird. But didn't think much of it because I was just like, okay, maybe this so called headache turned into maybe some kind of aftercon sickness or whatever. I'm like, still
Could have
not
been
thinking much of it.
COVID. I mean, there was a thousand variants out there.
Well, actually, I had had COVID the week before that, which plays a part in the final diagnosis that we get actually not until Friday. But like I said, Monday came out of the ER, checked to Tuesday, Wednesday, same thing, did not move, did not get up out of bed. I think Thursday, I was like, I'm calling into work because I still don't feel kosher. And then Friday, I actually tried to drive myself to work. It's about a 25-minute drive. And I noticed that I wasn't, I didn't feel like the, literally the world was spinning as much as it was, but still definitely felt off. And even when I'm driving, I'm like, there's a weakness. Like I'm like, why is my hand doing? It's like trying to pull, trying not to pull, like giving me too much strength, not enough strength. I'm like, what is going on? I get to work. I literally walk for like 20 minutes just around, like doing my rounds as a manager to try to figure out what the plan is for the day. Everyone's looking at me. They go back to my girlfriend and like, yeah, there's definitely something still wrong with him. He does not need to finish the day out. That's when I went back to the ER, and this time they actually told them how I felt, all the symptoms and all that stuff. This time they actually ran a CT scan, and that's when they had found out that that the reason I had that slight headache and all of these signs were leading to that I had a stroke that I guess sometime between that night and that morning, Sunday night, Monday morning, which led to all of the ailments that I had, and which I think I the precursor to that was the headaches. I guess that's what was maybe building up throughout the weekend. They they expedited an order for an MRI, and I got that MRI that day, and it was like they confirmed it. There was a clot in the back of my cerebellum that caused a stroke.
Did they say if it was building up and that's what caused the headaches, or
They didn't say much about how it began. They just said that the cause of it may have been a COVID related um induced stroke because medical history is good. Wasn't anything with the diet and like family history either. But
so no,
yeah,
no background, no history of parental grandparents having any sort of stroke, heart issues, or anything like that, or anything?
No, because actually they I remembered vividly that I think they took almost, I might be exaggerating, but it feels like they took 10 vials of blood to run tests, and all the tests came back. It was I don't want to say clean bill of health, but they were like drugs aren't a factor, family history, diet, none of that is a factor. That the only thing they could actually come up with was the complications due to having COVID, which I did have about what, a week before our trip.
So they say you have a stroke, and now what's the process of after the MRI and all that? What did they do after they said you had a stroke? What was the process after that?
Well, the most immediate thing they were like, well, we're gonna admit you in the room to stay at night. And surprisingly, I only stayed one night. They were like, "Do you feel like you're good to go?" I'm like, "Well, staying here, I don't think is gonna get any better, but I mean, if I'm good to go, but I'm not gonna do anything. Like I'll be at home still." So that Saturday, I remember that when I was released, the I still noticed that the headache did not come back as strong. They had me do a walking test to check my balance. It was still a little off, but it was at least that I could almost walk a straight line without, looking like I'm stumbling because, obviously the stroke really does affect like the left side of your body. And still in my left hand, it was like even just doing this was a chore. Um, the strength in my leg, it seems like throughout that week got better. Um, not to 100%, but better than what it had been that Monday when I could barely stand on my own. And it definitely did take my hand a lot longer to retrain, I guess you would say, to get back in the groove of things.
And so, how long was this recovery process? They sent you home. I'm assuming they gave you some medicine, bed rest, strengthen, maybe a little bit of PT with the hands and the legs.
They actually did. I was I guess I don't know what you would call it. Would you call it getting an order to go to physical therapy
Oh yeah, I was a referral, maybe an order,
or referral?
doctor's
Yeah, that's what it
recommendation.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah, but since everything was so busy and everything was so booked up, I actually didn't get to go to a PT that was in our hometown. I actually had to go to one that was about 40 miles away, and they didn't have any openings or availabilities until about, I would say, a month after that. So a month after, went to the PT, did some basic, basic hand drills, strength training drills, testing my balance, working on my balance a little bit. That went on for about 2 months, but I mean, just from the day that they actually came out and said, "Hey, this is a stroke," that really literally did change a lot of things that I and probably most people would take for granted, like just holding a spoon or like drinking a drink or grabbing a glass and being able to put it up to your face without doing this or having a
or
fear of dropping it because you can't keep the strength in your hand, or it's squeezing it too tight, or it's squeezing it not enough to where you can't lift stuff. And like it really, really made me be like, yo, this is completely different from what I was expecting to do for like the rest of this year.
so from the end of March when we left GalaxyCon to when were you back to 100%? Would you say?
I mean, if we're being honest, we're a year out. I still don't feel like I am 100% back to normal. Um, for strength and balance wise, I think that actually did take almost to October until I felt like I was good to go again, back on track to where I wanted to be at, but not the best I could be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and this is scary because normally when you think of a stroke, you think of your dad, your parents, someone older, an old coworker. You were 33 at the time of this happening. So
Yeah. And that
with
was
no
one
medical
of the big
history.
that was one of the big things too with the docs. They were when they got the results, they almost didn't want to believe it because they're like, you shouldn't have this be happening. Like this, let's run it a test again. They're like, this is ridiculous, but that's what it was. Yeah.
So did you see the MRI scan or CT scan, and they show you the blockage in the cerebellum?
I think the first MRI, yeah, they did. They show me, or from the CT scan, because the CT scan is not as intense as the MRI, but they did show me that the first one. And that's where I could see like, oh, that the cloudy area, that's where it happened. And then with the MRI, I think that's when it got a little bit more in depth of where and how. And actually, I think a month later, I went to the a different um, hospital. They ran the MRI again just to see, hopefully, that it wasn't getting worse. And thankfully, that second one showed that yeah, it the clot was regressing. Everything was I was on the mend, so they were pleased with that as obviously I was too.
Yeah, man, that's definitely something that nobody could have expected. I mean, you had been dealing with these symptoms from a week out. We just come off this convention, like that was a great time. Meanwhile, you're in bed not knowing what's going on. This is a scary situation, and it's a good thing we caught, or they caught it. I'm not going to take credit for it. They caught it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like literally, it sounds cliche, but like when people say tomorrow, there tomorrow is not promised today. Like we just had a weekend. I was hanging out with friends. We were having a good time. Um, and then all of a sudden, boom, the next day, it like it it actually made me take a step back and kind of sit back and be like, wow, I need to. I mean, to an extent, I'd appreciated the things that I had and everything that's been,
Yeah.
I don't want to say given to me, but like
Every
appreciate the
opportunity they,
things,
yeah.
the little things in life. Yeah. And this was a real eye opener to be like, yo, it can, that stuff that you think, oh no, that's just one of my uncles or my dad or my grandparents. That can happen to anybody.
And what would you say to somebody, like, because you don't want to freak someone out and send them to the hospital when they're like, oh, it's just a migraine. But like, what's some of the things that people can look out for? Because I know, like you said, you went to work and everybody's like, he doesn't look right. Like, what would you say to somebody who's feeling that way?
I would say be fast, and that stands for the things here. Um, these are the signs that you, or I guess you should look out for in yourself or a loved one. If you see these signs happening, be fast, act quick.
And guys, again, we're not medical experts in anything of the sort. We're not going to say that we are, but this just goes to prove that something like a stroke can happen to anyone at any age. And we have proof here with Batdrew being a 33-year-old man when this happened to. So it's been over a year. How have you moved forward since then? Is it always in the back of your mind, or
To be honest, I can say, nah, man, this doesn't bother me anymore. And I would be lying because that there's a small like part of me that's also going to think about I need to maybe watch what I do more, take care of myself better. But that isn't what caused this. But still, at the same time, like, do I need to change some things I do, change or embrace things differently? But like all of last year, all I can really remember is that even going back before last year, 2020, I really think that took a toll on a lot of us mentally. Being locked down, not being able to go out, do things. Um, just the idea of what's going to happen next. How long are we going to be in this quarantine? What's going on? Like I really feel like those years, especially that year, kind of put me into kind of a funk where I'm kind of like, man, I really don't want to be living like this. Like what is this? This is crazy. And not to mention now, fast forward 2 years, the complications due to COVID caused a stroke. And like I said, I'd be lying to myself again if I said that did not like put a mental toll on me. Like, geez, what is this thing is 2 years old and it's still affecting me today. And it really, really affected me big time. It's like, why, what can I do? Why is this happening? Like all these questions on like no answers, but instead of um looking at it and trying to feel sorry for myself, trying to get down, um, not wanting to move forward. I used all of that negative energy and tried to propel that into something positive where, like, you know what? This is a good challenge. I can't pick up my fork today to eat this delicious, I'd say chicken tender because I'm eating it with a fork. It's like, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get through this. And I mean, people that know me know well before this, well before 2020, avid hiker, love to be outdoors, love to go Sasquatch hunting with my Jack Link's beef jerky. But I last year I did not go on my first hike until I think about September, almost October. It was an easy hike, obviously, because I was like still had some doubts in myself. I was like, can I do this? Would I even be able to complete this? Um, I actually remember texting you guys being like, yo, I'm actually gonna try a hike today. If you don't hear from me by the end of the day, this is where I'm at. And it was a hike in our area, Humpback Rocks. On average, Green Lantern and I would do that hike. It would take about maybe 28, 32 minutes for us because we're, hikers, we can get it. And this hike this time actually took me almost an hour and 40 minutes to complete because I was like, I'm not gonna push myself too hard, but at the same time, I'm not going to go home till I get to the top of this view. And when I'd actually gotten to the top, I didn't worry about how long it took. I did not worry about that I took like 20 steps, I had to take a break. I didn't worry that um I felt like geez, like I it took like I said, didn't worry about the time, didn't worry about how the process. All I was concerned with myself was I did it. It's not the way I want to do it, but guess what? I did get it done. And
And
again, I used that momentum, that mentality to try to help me get through the rest of the year. Um and like I said, even before that, like from March until then, I was like those little positive beats of okay, doing the dishes or working on maybe I can hold the smaller cup easier than the bigger cup. And then progressively throughout the weeks, work up towards something. It's kind of like a John Cena thing, like a never give up attitude. I was like, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm going to get back to where I need to be. And I just used that, and that helped me get through and actually get to this where I'm at now. Like I
and
said, I'm not
throughout
100%. I'm not
yeah,
100% like from what I was before, but I'm getting there. And not to put a time frame on when you expect yourself to get better from being sidetracked with like situations in your life or situations with your health, but just keep that mentality of you can get through it. It may not be how you want to or expect it to, but just keep going.
and you had a lot of people while you were in the hospital, while you're going through this, were reaching out. So the outpouring for you was out there. I know me and Green Lantern were, and I'm not sure what everybody else was doing, but I know a lot of people were checking on you back and forth. Hey, have you heard from Batdrew? Like, not yet, but I'll let you know. So, and it's not just you going through it; it's everybody that's sort of helped pushing you there through their words and kind acts. At least from what I saw, I'm not sure how much you felt it, but we kept trying to help push you forward.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did feel that too. Like going throughout the year, like people were, you know, just a positive, quick, like, hey, how you doing? Thinking about you. Those messages, they help me get through that too. And then I think Actually, the day that it happened, the year anniversary, I made a post that um I put on Facebook that basically was telling me like, or telling people like, if you take anything away from this, just never give up. Like keep going forward. Like life's gonna set you back on things. Don't let that stop you. And I'm really glad that I put that post up because there was so many people after that. They were like, "Bro, I read your post like 2 or 3 times, and I just want to thank you for putting that up and like sharing your story because like that helped me through today. That's gonna help me through the future." And I'm like, I appreciate you sharing that because that's what it's all about. It's like sometimes I think in this world, like it seems like everyone's out for themselves or trying to worry about how they're going to get better or how they're going to do something better and not worry about how what who they're going to have to cross to get to there. But like just in this past year I've seen how like everyone's pulling together, they're paying attention, they're like they care. Even if you think that some people don't, they do. They may they may not know how to show it well sometimes, but they do. And that was a like a lightning rod for me too that helped me, push forward on days I felt like I was like, screw it, I'm not going to do anything today. But it's the the universe's good spirits help me get through and keeps me pushing forward as well.
And so uh let's take it from then. You We go back to GalaxyCon, the first indicator from this past year. What was there any sort of worry or that it's going to happen again, or was it a moment of celebration to be look where you were last year versus this year? You know, was there any what was in the back of your mind thinking knowing what happened last year after GalaxyCon?
Well, last year we went back to GalaxyCon again, but this time when I was in Raleigh, and that was I think
Okay. Yeah, that was
like
the first
5 or 6 months removed from the Richmond one. Um, that one, going back to that, I was a little nervous. I was like, how am I going to do this? I'm not going to put on my all my cosplay gear because I was like, I don't want to make it harder on myself than it already is. So, light cosplay, simple stuff. Getting through that one, or not getting through that one, but going through Raleigh, not having an issue that was kind of like, like if I'm too scared to jump, like if I keep thinking about the fear of falling, and if I don't jump, I'm never going to jump. So that was me jumping and getting out of it. That was like me saying, "Hey, okay, I I can do this. I don't have to be afraid of this." Like I didn't want my fear to hold me back and keep me from doing things that I enjoy doing. So I was, like I said, gung ho, guns blazing, going forward. And for
But
this year, I kind of in a way, yeah, I felt like this was me being like, yeah, I've made it an entire year. Let's see how much more I can do. Already making plans for GalaxyCon 2024. Um, but yeah, it's always with me and especially in this situation, it's always looking forward, not looking back. And if I'm looking back, it's to see how far I've come from, not to be like, hey, that's where I was. That's how it was. It's more of that's what it was, but that's not what it is anymore.
well, guys, thank you for joining us for a very special Cast Your Calls with Batdrew here at Just Us Bros. Any last remarks before we say adios to our friends listening out there?
For me, I would just like to say, always keep fighting, keep your head up, move forward. Whatever the world throws at us, we're going to be able to take it. And if we feel like we can't some days, just know you do have friends and you do have people that will listen and they're looking out for you, even if you think they're not, they are there.
Awesome. And guys, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks to Batdrew and for telling us his story. But as always, guys, here at Just Us Bros, you will always have friends. Just comment, like, subscribe, and tell us what to talk about next. Thank you so much, and cheers.